So today I'm going to show you how we built this huge walk-in Brassica cage for under 100 quid. So first things first, I want to say that we did get lucky. The frame is an old gazebo frame. It's a 6x3 meter pop-up gazebo. So the previous owners of our house had left this here and they were paying for the council to come and collect it as rubbish because they couldn't fit it in their car. So it was a win-win because we said, I'll keep that, no problem. And then it didn't have to be collected. But obviously that means we got this whole frame for free. Now it is wobbly. It did need a little bit of fixing up and tightening up here and there, but ultimately it's a good solid-ish frame. So all I then had to do was find a way to cover it in netting and secure it to the ground. You're showing it off? Yeah. But then for not a lot of effort we managed to get an 18 square metre planting space for brassicas, or it could be fruit bushes or whatever else you'd want to put under net for less than 100 quid. Now these things, if you buy them ready-made, they cost a bloody fortune, and that just wasn't on the cards for me this year. So while this may not last forever, it's quite sturdy, and I'm going to show you how we built it right now. Now bear in mind that this was pieced together over a fair few days. I just did bits and bobs of this as I went, so I'm going to try and cut it all together and then chat through with you what we did and how we did it. Hopefully I've got enough bits and bobs to show you how it came together. So first things first, we had to actually bring the frame out here and get it in position. Now I've moved it down to this end of the field. As you can see, we've got the hedgerow right behind us because we do get quite a lot of wind here, and this isn't the most sturdy of frames. So to try and give it the best chance of surviving, I've put it right down the bottom here where it's got a bit of protection, which so far has worked really well. So that's good news. We brought it down here. We had to relocate a few dozen spiders who had made it their home. It had just been sat out for a few months just collecting wildlife. So they were moved on gently, and then we popped it here in position. I bought some rolls of netting. I will link where I got them. I did look into doing scaffolding netting and things like that because I thought it might work out cheaper, but when I actually looked, when I wanted the width to cover this, because I didn't want to be patching together loads of little bits, so I wanted quite a wide piece. When I took that into consideration, this stuff was the best. There were cheaper options, but I thought I need it to be at least reasonably sturdy if it's going to survive out here. So I ordered this netting from a UK-based company called Agriframes. I'll pop a link in the description. This is how they were delivered to me, so we're just unwrapping them and working out how best to arrange them. I chose this netting, like there were loads of options, but I went with this one because it came with a 10-year guarantee. It looked really nice and strong, and the reviews were really good. It's also available in a variety of widths, and I could purchase per metre, so I could get the right amount without a load of extra that I don't need. Alrighty, so between these bits of plastic netting and that old gazebo frame, we are going to make us a Brassica cage today. Now I put a lot of thought into what sizes of the netting sheets I was going to buy. I don't remember what that was, but I know that I did some thought on it, so I'm going to get these out, unroll them, and hope that it all becomes obvious of what's supposed to go where. So even with the puppy clambering all over it, there were no tears or defects in this net, so I'm feeling pretty confident in its hardiness. Need a ladder. So this gazebo frame is 3 by 6 metres and approximately 2 metres high, but it has those peaks over the top which I had to take into consideration when choosing the size of netting to purchase. I ended up buying a 4 metre wide piece to go over the top, so starting at the floor on a 3 metre edge to go up over the top all the way down to the floor on the opposite 3 metre edge. So this piece was 12 metres long, which ended up being plenty. I also purchased a 10 metre long by 2 metre wide strip of this netting to then cover those long open sides. Alright, so I've just draped it over the top of this gazebo frame. I'm going to weight it down using some of these wooden jumps, and then I'm just going in with cable ties and I'm just connecting it to the frame, trying to keep it as taut as I possibly can because I don't want it to be flapping around in the wind. Hey mate. And then we'll see how that goes. I figure once it's secured on with the cable ties, then maybe I'll go around with the twine and actually sort of wind it on to every bit of the frame just to keep it really, really tight and secure. But for now, I'm just using the cable ties just to get it on and attached and in position, and then I'll work out how best to secure it once it's on. So this was all a bit fiddly, getting this in position. It was a lot of up and down, back and forth, trying to pull it taut enough that it was going to be secure from flapping around in the wind too much, but not so tight that I was, risking tearing anything. So it was a lot of just tying it on in different places, trying to keep it as taut as possible. And I'm just going around this top line now, adding on the cable ties when I think I've got it securely in place where I want it. I did try to start in the corners with the cable ties so that once they were in position I could then just go along the edges and secure it down. This did involve a lot of in and out, trying to get it secured down, but it was worth it in the end. So once I was happy with the positioning of the net over the top, I then came around to the corners and tried to tidy it up as much as possible without taking too long over it. I kind of folded it around the corners and then used some twine to attach these edges to the vertical uprights of the gazebo frame. Again, a lot of fiddly work trying to get this fed through the netting on both sides and tied on securely. So once I was happy with that top corner, I worked my way down these vertical uprights on the corners, making sure the netting was nice and taut and securing it to those uprights. So where we're at so far, you can see that I have tied on this big one long strip that's going from the floor down here and then all the way up over the top and down under this log here, and then I've pinned it at the bottom and tied it to each of the 4 uprights, and then it's been cable tied to the top of this frame. So all I need to do today is to take 2 panels to cover these long open sides, and then this will be secured. We can put some plants in here. As you can just about see, those edges that I was working on the previous day, I've brought these wooden poles out and weighed down the bottom of that netting on the floor just to keep it in place, and then I end up going around with some tent pegs and pegging it in under the wood. But now we're just using sections of that 2 meter by 10 meter long piece that I've just cut to size on this edge, and I'm literally just using cable ties to attach it to the top of this frame, and then I'll do the same thing at the bottom. I'll attach it to the corners and we will then pin it down to the floor. Now you can see where we're up to. It's all secured along that top edge, and I've brought another wooden pole out just to weigh it down at the bottom so that I can pin it taut underneath. I have left this corner open just so that I've got access at the moment, and then I'm going to work on a way to secure a door or an opening for access in the future. But this is just a look around with all the panels attached. Okay, so I think it's looking pretty good in here. I still need to go around the top, secure the, because obviously we've got 2 layers connecting to each other, so I want to tie those through and make sure that there's no gaps in it. The door's still to do, so for now I'm just going to peg that in so that I can still have access to it, but it be closed enough to take these nets off. And then I just need to go around and tidy up the edges. So what I need to go do now is find some more pegs for the ground level, make sure that that's really in properly, and then it's just a matter of tidying up the edges. But all in all, I'm pretty chuffed with how this has gone. It feels pretty secure. There's a couple of flies that are stuck in here, which, you know, sorry guys, but promising that other things won't be able to get in. Yeah, it's just a matter of tidying it up, getting it nice and secure, because these guys are busting out. Look, I'll show you. I do have some spare netting, so if anything does go wrong or anything does need fixing, it shouldn't be too big a deal to just come and pop some more of this up, because it's actually really easy to do. So I'll go ahead and tidy this up and finish it off now, but in summary, all this is this netting, which I will link, and then some cable ties and some twine and some tent pegs. And all in all, that has given us a huge walk-in brassica cage, so I'm pretty chuffed. I did wait until the end to do the floor pieces, so that way any sort of loose bits could just be tucked up and under and secured that way. I'm glad I just used twine on these corner pieces, because I did end up having to take some of them off and reposition it. Just when I pulled it taut on one side, it would end up being wonky or something. So I did end up redoing a couple of these corner pieces just to make sure it was really nice and taut. I'm honestly so chuffed with how this has turned out. What I've done is used these wooden horse jump thingies that I had left over just on the land when we moved in, and I've used those to just weigh down the netting on the floor, and then I've rolled the netting underneath them and then just used tent pegs to peg the netting to the ground, and that seems to be holding really well. I have ordered like a fly screen door for this. I'm not sure how well that's going to cope, you know, like one of the magnetic ones. I don't know how well it'll cope out here. It'll probably need some reinforcing and things, but I just thought, well, when it's not, even if it does blow open, if it rests, it will then come back together. I don't know if that's a good plan or not. But anyway, for now, I've just left one of the corners untied and I'm just pegging it down to the ground and then popping a peg through the netting up higher so that it holds it together, which I also think will work fine. I just thought it'd be nice to have a little bit easier access without having to pull pegs out of the ground every time. But I'll update you when we put the door in. I think I'm going to have to recruit Nigel for that one because I think I'm going to need, there's going to need to be a kind of frame to attach that to, and he's volunteered his services for that, so I'll update you when we do that. But for now, I think this is good. I'm happy with it, and I'm going to go release those brassicas from their little tunnel cages and we'll let them start to grow. I've also got a load left in little modules that have been sat waiting to go out for ages, so I'm going to get that done. Spacing on these looks so huge when I put them out, and now that they've put on a bit of growth, I think it looks a bit tight. But the beauty of building this cage is that this is 6 by 3 meters and walk-in height obviously, so I've just got so much more space to use under netting now. I'll leave these for now and see how they do, but I'll be a little bit more generous on the spacing when I fill out the rest of this space with the brassicas that we've got left over. So just think how much easier the weeding is going to be now that I can walk in here. The problem with those tunnels is that it's hard to do anything inside them. You kind of just have to leave them to it. Whereas now I can get in here, I can do a proper weed around these. So there we go, that is how it was made. It's been up for a couple of weeks now, so I do have a couple of things that I think if I were going to do it again that I would change. Nothing too drastic, nothing that I can't address now. But I thought I'd mention it at the end of this video just in case you were planning to do something similar. First of all, you can see the grass on the edge. I didn't mulch far enough out, so I mulched up to the edge of where the net went under, which means that the grass is just growing back through, and the grass was so close up on the outside that I can't get the mower that close and I can't use the strimmer that close because I'll end up just completely gamming up the netting. So I need to make sure that there's no need to be cutting grass within a good foot of it, so I need to go around and really heavily mulch around the outside just so that that grass gets smothered out a bit and it doesn't end up just taking over inside. Along those lines, there's not really anything I can do about it, but just worth noting that where it is, because I've come down so far to the hedgerow, I'm getting brambles coming up in there, coming out of the ground. There's obviously some roots in there which I didn't know about before I did it, so I think, I'm just going to stay on top of it and just keep it weeded while this lot is growing. When I do some harvesting and the plants are done, then I'll go in and actually probably do a proper dig and try and get rid of those brambles if they're still coming up. Otherwise I'll just keep on top of it between now and then and see how it goes. The other thing that I would do differently, or that I need to improve, is it needs a door. I said I had a vague plans for doors, but obviously I've not gotten around to that yet. And one of the corners is currently just open and I'm just using a tent peg in the ground and then just sort of clipping it shut higher up, which is fine when it's not windy, but as soon as it's windy, that's a problem. It's just blowing open and there is some butterflies in there today when I came out to do this video. The door was open and flapping. So it's not the end of the world. I just need to work out a plan, at least in the meantime, to keep it a bit more firmly pinned down so that it doesn't flap open if there's a bit of wind. And then I'm going to work on a door plan. But I'll wrap this up for now and I'll put that in a future video. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. Cheers, guys.